I'm blaming Netanyahu in particular.
What is happening in Syria?
This is a U.S., Israel, Turkey operation. It is part of Netanyahu's long-term game plan that goes on for 30 years to overthrow governments throughout the Middle East that back the Palestinian cause. And they did apparently catch both the Russians and the Iranians and the Syrians off guard with this maneuver in recent days. At least that's what seems to be the case. But I'm sure that this is an Israel, U.S., and Turkish operation. Turkey has its own issues in this with the Kurds in Syria. For Israel, this is standard fare. Overthrow governments in the neighborhood, expand the war, draw the United States in, and the U.S. Is always available at Israel's behest to play games and expand wars. And that's what we're seeing right now. From what we can gather of sporadic and, of course, very incomplete reports, I don't think that this is going to topple Assad. There are reinforcements pouring in from Iraq, probably from Iran, probably the Syrian forces as well internally are regrouping after having been caught by surprise. But this is essentially at the core a Netanyahu operation. And wars are not fought out of sentiment. Wars are fought with money and armaments. And therefore, you can always find major powers behind these wars. And in the case of Syria, it was Obama in 2011 who tasked the CIA to work with the Saudis at the time and with Turkey at the time to overthrow Assad. This was at Israel's behest, in my understanding and interpretation. But it required billions of dollars from the U.S., from Saudi Arabia, from Turkey, havens in Turkey, and so forth. And this is the normal point. These are not sentiments against Assad. These are organized wars, and wars are expensive, and that always means turn the attention back to the major powers, whether it's the regional powers or the United States standing behind them. This starts, and it's really fascinating to go back. It starts in 1996 with Netanyahu, who wrote a book called Fighting Terrorism. And the thesis of the book is quite straightforward and very dangerous. He says, there's Hamas, there's Hezbollah, they oppose Israel. It's not good for us to fight them directly. That won't work. What we need to do is topple the governments that back them. So what we need is regime change throughout the Middle East. And he actually gave a long list of 7 countries that included Syria, Libya, Iraq, Iran, Somalia, Sudan, and Lebanon. And systematically, the United States has done Netanyahu's bidding for almost 30 years now, going to war with every one of them, except for the big one that Netanyahu so much longs for, which is the war directly between the United States and Iran. What we're watching is this crazy Netanyahu idea of regional war so that Israel can have its greater Israel, as they call it. In other words, everything is to stop the Palestinian cause, and the U.S. keeps being involved in these wars. And there was Jake Sullivan again today explaining, terrorists, who cares about terrorists? We're toppling Assad. And this is again for the Israel lobby, basically.
But look, you blame...